The red warning lights flashed across the research station's walls as Dr. James Walker stared at his computer screen. His eyes were fixed on the strange readings coming from the deep space scanner. After 20 years of searching the Kuiper Belt for signs of alien artifacts, he had almost given up hope. But now, something was different. "Tom, come look at this," he called to his assistant, who was half asleep in his chair. "These readings don't make sense." Tom rubbed his tired eyes and walked over. The young researcher had been working double shifts ever since the war with the stellar Dominion had reached the outer solar system. "What am I looking at, Doc?" "See this energy signature?" James pointed to a faint blue line on the graph. "It's coming from an object about 40 million kilometers from here, but it's not moving like a comet or asteroid, and the metal content is off the charts." As they watched the screen, another alarm started blaring. This one was more familiar, the warning system that detected approaching Dominion ships. The war had been going badly for Earth. The aliens had better weapons, faster ships, and shields that could stop most human attacks. They had destroyed 3 colony worlds already. "How long until they reach the station?" James asked, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Tom checked the tactical display. "The closest patrol is still 2 days out. They're busy with the battle near Pluto." James nodded and started typing commands into his console. "Get the exploration team ready. If these readings are what I think they are, we need to reach that object before the Dominion finds it." 6 hours later, their small research ship, the Galileo, was cutting through the darkness of space. The crew of 5 was quiet, each lost in their own thoughts. Besides James and Tom, there was Mike the pilot, Linda the engineer, and Pete the security officer. They had worked together for years, searching for evidence of ancient alien civilizations. Now, with humanity losing the war, their work seemed more important than ever. "Approaching the coordinates," Mike announced, switching to visual scanners. The main screen lit up, and everyone gasped. Floating in the void was a ship unlike anything they had ever seen. It was huge, at least 2 kilometers long, with a design that seemed to ignore everything humans knew about spacecraft engineering. Instead of the usual blocky shapes, it had smooth curves that flowed like water frozen in space. Its hull was covered in patterns that looked like circuit boards made of crystal. "It's beautiful," Linda whispered. "And look at the hull. There's not a scratch on it. How is that possible after floating out here for who knows how long?" James checked his instruments again. The metal composition. "It's not like anything in our database. And there's something else. The energy reading we detected. It's coming from inside the ship. Whatever this thing is, it's not completely dead." Pete gripped his rifle tighter. "Could it be a Dominion trap?" "No," James said, shaking his head. "Their technology doesn't look anything like this, and dating scans suggest this ship is at least 50,000 years old, maybe much older." They spent the next hour circling the ancient vessel, taking detailed scans. Linda found what looked like a docking port that might be compatible with their ship's airlock. The patterns on the hull seemed to shift slightly when their lights passed over them, like oil on water. "Doc," Tom called out, "you need to see this. I found something in the long-range scans." He pulled up a tactical display showing the Pluto defense line. Red dots representing Dominion ships were pushing through Earth's defenses. The battle's going badly. "If they break through, they'll detect us out here." James looked at the ancient ship through the viewport. Their research station would be one of the first things the Dominion would destroy if they reached this sector. All their work, all their discoveries, would be lost. But this ship, this could change everything. "We're going aboard," he announced. "Linda, start docking procedures. Pete, get the space suits ready. Tom, download all our scan data to a secure drive in case we need to evacuate." The docking process took longer than expected. The ancient port seemed to analyze their ship before allowing them to connect. When the airlock finally sealed with a soft hiss, the team suited up. James insisted on being the first one through. The inside of the ship was even stranger than the outside. The corridors were lit by a soft blue glow that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The air was breathable, according to their instruments, but they kept their helmets on as a precaution. Their boots made no sound on the smooth floor, adding to the eerie feeling. The energy signature is stronger this way, Linda said, checking her scanner. They followed her through curving hallways that seemed to be designed for beings about human size. The walls were covered in more of the crystalline patterns they had seen outside. After walking for about 20 minutes, they reached what appeared to be a control room. Large, curved screens lined the walls, all dark and silent. In the center was a raised platform with a pedestal. "Careful," Pete warned as James approached the pedestal. "We don't know what." Before he could finish, the patterns on the walls pulsed with light. The screens flickered to life, displaying symbols and diagrams none of them understood. A soft humming filled the air, growing louder by the second. "Everyone back to the airlock," James shouted, but before they could move, a voice spoke, not through their radios, but somehow directly in their minds. First contact protocols initiated. New biological entities detected. Beginning analysis. The humming changed pitch, and beams of light swept over them from multiple directions. James felt a slight tingling sensation through his suit. The voice spoke again. "Analysis complete. Species identification. Human. Technology level. Early spacefaring. Current status. Under attack by more advanced species, in violation of Precursor Directive 7. Tom stepped forward. You can understand us. Universal Translation Matrix active. This vessel's primary function is to protect developing civilizations from unauthorized interference, detecting major conflict in local space, beginning full system diagnostic." James could hardly believe what he was hearing. The ship wasn't just ancient. It was built specifically to help species like humanity. But before he could ask more questions, Tom's tablet started beeping urgently. "Doc, the Dominion broke through at Pluto. 3 destroyer groups are heading this way. We have less than 30 hours. The voice spoke again, this time with a hint of what almost sounded like concern. "Warning. Hostile forces approaching. Primary systems still in recovery mode. Time required for full activation, 47 hours. James looked at his team, then back at the glowing screens. They had found something incredible, perhaps humanity's best hope for survival. But with the Dominion closing in, they needed to figure out how to protect it. And fast. "Can you tell us more about your defensive capabilities?" he asked the ship. "We need to keep you hidden until you're fully active." The response came as more screens lit up, showing complex diagrams. Limited defensive systems available. Stealth protocols can be engaged, but full protection requires complete reactivation sequence. They had discovered the find of the century. Now they just had to survive long enough to use it. Time was running out. The ancient ship's AI had given them access to its basic systems, but James and his team still had to figure out how to use them. Linda spent hours studying the strange controls while Tom recorded everything they found. The patterns on the walls kept shifting, almost as if the ship was watching them. "I think I understand some of this," Linda said, her hands moving over the crystal-like surface of what seemed to be an engineering station. "The ship doesn't just have engines. It can bend space itself, but most of its systems are still waking up." Mike walked in from his exploration of the forward sections. "You won't believe what I found. There's some kind of observation deck up there. The walls become completely transparent. It's like standing in open space." "Focus, people," Pete interrupted, checking his tactical display. "We've got 26 hours before the Dominion arrives. Doc, what's our plan?" James looked up from the central pedestal where he'd been communicating with the ship's AI. "The ship says it can teach us how to use its stealth systems. But there's a problem. We need to power down our research station completely. Any energy signature could give away our position." The team fell quiet. The station contained years of their research, samples from across the solar system, and their only long-range communication equipment. Powering it down meant losing their connection to Earth's defense network. They would be completely alone out here. "Do it," Tom said firmly. "Better to lose the data than let the Dominion find the ship." James nodded and called the skeleton crew they'd left at the station. Within an hour, the station went dark. The Galileo, still docked to the ancient vessel, powered down next. Now only the ship's own systems remained active, humming softly in the background. The AI's voice echoed in their minds again, beginning emergency protocols. This vessel will now attempt to integrate with compatible organic operators. Before anyone could ask what that meant, the walls pulsed with bright light. James felt a strange tingling sensation, stronger than before. Images flashed through his mind. Star maps, weapon systems, engine schematics. The others gasped, experiencing the same thing. "What's happening?" Pete demanded, his hand instinctively reaching for his weapon. "The ship is teaching us," Linda whispered, her eyes wide. "I can feel it. I understand how the engines work now. It's incredible." Each of them received different information. Mike suddenly knew how to pilot the massive vessel. Tom understood its sensors and communication systems. Pete gained knowledge of its defensive capabilities. Linda learned about its engineering systems. And James began to grasp just how advanced the ship's creators had been. "Warning," the AI announced. "Hostile vessels have increased speed. New arrival estimate, 18 hours. They worked quickly, using their new knowledge. The ship's stealth systems were unlike anything humans had developed. Instead of just hiding from sensors, it bent light and space around itself, becoming literally invisible. But maintaining the stealth field burned through power they needed for the reactivation sequence. How did beings create technology this advanced? Tom wondered aloud as he worked with the sensor controls. "It's like they understood the basic laws of physics better than we do." "They did," James replied, sorting through the information in his head. "The precursors. That's what they called themselves. They had reached the point where technology and natural law became the same thing. This ship isn't just a machine. It's like a piece of space itself, shaped to their will." Linda called them over to her station. "Look at this. The ship's hull isn't solid metal. It's made of billions of tiny machines that can change their structure. That's why it looks perfect after all this time. It repairs itself." "Incoming transmission," Tom announced suddenly. "It's from the Pluto defense line." They gathered around as he played the message. The news was bad. Earth's forces had lost the battle badly. The Dominion wasn't just sending patrol ships anymore. They were sending a full battle group to clear out the entire sector. "How many ships?" Pete asked, his face grim. "At least 30, Tom replied, "including 2 of their dreadnoughts." The AI spoke again. "Alert. This vessel detects high levels of stress in organic operators. Implementing emergency measure 47. The blue glow in the walls turned to a soft green. Everyone felt a wave of calm wash over them. Their fear didn't disappear, but it became manageable. Their thoughts became clearer. "The ship is helping us stay focused," James realized. "It's not controlling us, just helping us handle the situation." They spent the next few hours learning everything they could. The ship's AI explained that it had been left behind by the precursors to watch over younger species. When the Dominion had attacked Earth, it should have awakened automatically, but something had damaged its sensors during its long sleep, delaying the response. "There's something else," Linda said, studying a diagnostic screen. "The ship isn't just waking up, it's evolving. The more it interacts with us, the more it adapts to work with human minds and bodies. It's like it was designed to grow with whatever species found it." 16 hours passed quickly. They took short breaks to eat and rest, but mostly they worked, preparing for what was coming. The AI taught them more with each passing hour. They learned about weapons that could disable other ships without destroying them, shields that existed in multiple dimensions, and engines that could cross the galaxy in weeks instead of years. Multiple vessels entering detection range. The AI announced. Time to contact, 43 minutes. They gathered in the control room, each at their stations. The ship had changed noticeably in the past day. The patterns on the walls moved faster now, and the whole vessel thrummed with energy. Through the observation deck, they could see the stars clearly. Soon, those same stars would be filled with Dominion ships. Full power to stealth systems, James ordered, surprised at how natural it felt to command this incredible vessel. Linda, how are the primary systems coming along? Better than expected, she replied, her hands dancing over the crystalline controls. We're at 60% power now. Weapons and shields are online, but not at full strength. The AI says we can fight if we have to, but we'd still be vulnerable. They'll find us eventually, Pete said from his security station. Stealth field or not, they'll notice their sensors being bent around us. We need a plan. James looked at the tactical display, watching the Dominion ships approach. They'd moved in perfect formation, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. Earth's finest ships had shattered against those hulls. But now humanity had something the Dominion had never seen before. Tom, he said quietly, what's the status of the ship's knowledge banks? Mostly online. We have access to about 70% of the precursor database. Why? A plan was forming in James's mind. He could feel the ship's AI considering it too, adding its vast knowledge to his human intuition. The Dominion thinks they're the most advanced species in this part of space, he said. Let's show them how wrong they are. But first, we need to survive the next few hours. The first Dominion ships were visible now, their engines burning bright against the black of space. The ancient ship hummed louder, ready for whatever came next. Its human crew, trained in hours to use technology beyond their dreams, prepared themselves. The real test was about to begin. The Dominion ships filled the observation screen, their black hulls blocking out the stars. James counted at least 40 vessels now, more than they had expected. The massive dreadnoughts led the formation, each one bigger than a small city. Their scan beams swept through space, searching. They're getting closer to our position, Tom mourned from his sensor station. The stealth field is working, but they're being very thorough. The ancient ship's AI spoke in their minds. Alert, hostile scan patterns detected. Analysis suggests 78% probability of detection within 17 minutes. Linda looked up from her engineering controls. We're at 68% power now. The reactivation is speeding up, but we still need more time. James watched the enemy ships through the transparent walls of the observation deck. He could feel the AI processing information, suggesting options. An idea formed in his mind. If they're going to find us anyway, he said, maybe we should choose when and how it happens. The ship's been teaching us for a reason. Time to use what we've learned. He shared his plan with the crew. It was risky, but everyone agreed it was better than waiting to be discovered. They moved to their stations, ready. Power readings at 70%, Linda reported. All basic systems are online. Weapons charge, Pete added. But remember, we're still not at full strength. James took a deep breath. Begin Phase 1. The ancient ship's stealth field changed. Instead of hiding them completely, it now created ghost images, dozens of false sensor readings spreading out across space. The Dominion fleet's formation broke apart as ships moved to investigate. They're confused, Tom said, watching the enemy reactions. Their sensors are picking up strange energy signatures everywhere. They think they're surrounded. The AI's voice held a note of approval. Tactical deception protocols executing correctly. Hostile forces operating at reduced efficiency due to confusion. One of the Dominion dreadnoughts turned directly toward their position. Its massive weapons powered up, ready to fire at any threat. James waited until it was fully committed to its new course. Now, he ordered, full power to forward shields. The ancient ship dropped its stealth field. The Dominion crews must have been shocked to see a massive unknown vessel suddenly appear in their midst. The dreadnought fired immediately. its energy weapons lighting up space. But something incredible happened. As the beams struck the ancient ship shields, they didn't just stop. They changed direction, curving around the hull like water around a rock. The AI explained what was happening through their mental link. Shield technology utilizing dimensional phase variance. Hostile weapon energy redirected through subspace. The dreadnought fired again, this time with its main gun. The beam that could crack planets splashed harmlessly across their shields. In response, Pete activated one of the ancient ship's less powerful weapons. A pulse of blue light shot out, hitting the dreadnought's engines. The massive ship's power flickered and died. "Direct hit," Pete reported. "Their engines are offline, but the crew is unharmed. Just like we planned." The rest of the Dominion fleet was reacting now. Ships moved to surround them. Weapons charge. James felt sweat on his forehead, but kept his voice calm. "Linda, how's our power level?" 75%, and rising faster now. Something about that energy absorption helped speed things up. The AI added new information to their tactical display. "Attention. Primary memory banks now online. Beginning historical data transmission." Suddenly, their screens filled with images from the distant past. They saw the precursors, tall, peaceful beings who had seeded the galaxy with life. They watched as those same beings created ships like this one, designed to protect young civilizations until they were ready to join the galactic community. "Tom," James called out, "broadcast this on all frequencies. Let them see it too." The data streamed out to every ship in range. The Dominion fleet held their position, weapons still aimed at the ancient vessel. For several long minutes, nothing happened. Then a message came through. "Unknown vessel," a harsh voice said. "Identify yourself and explain these images." James stood on the command platform. The AI helped him form his response, adding its ancient authority to his words. "This ship is a precursor guardian vessel, left to protect developing civilizations. You call yourselves the Stellar Dominion. We call ourselves humans. But according to this ship's records, we're both children of the same creators. Your attacks on Earth violate the very principles of those who gave us all life." Another Dominion ship fired, perhaps not believing him. This time, the ancient ship didn't just absorb the attack. It redirected the energy, using it to power up its systems even faster. "Power at 82%, Linda announced. "The attacks are actually helping us." The AI spoke again, this time broadcasting to all ships in range. "Warning. Continuation of hostile actions will result in activation of peacekeeping protocols. This vessel's primary function is preservation of life, not destruction." To demonstrate its point, the ship fired a series of precise shots. Each pulse of energy disabled a different Dominion vessel's weapons while leaving their life support and other systems untouched. The ships hung in space, crews unharmed but unable to fight. "Look at this," Tom said suddenly. "I'm picking up transmissions between their ships. They're arguing with each other. Some of them want to keep fighting, but others." The tactical display showed the Dominion fleet's formation breaking down. Some ships moved back, while others pressed forward. The ancient ship's screen showed more historical data, the precursors' hopes for cooperation between species, their plans for a peaceful galaxy. They're receiving more than just pictures, James realized. The AI is sharing the precursors' knowledge. Their whole reason for believing they're superior is falling apart. Linda called out from her station. "Power level at 85%. Something big is happening with the ship's systems." The patterns on the walls began moving faster. The soft blue glow brightened to brilliant white. Through their mental link, they felt the AI reaching out, touching the minds of every being in range, human and Dominion alike. "Initiating primary revelation protocol," it announced. "Sharing truth of common origin. Demonstrating futility of conflict between children of the precursors." Space itself seemed to ripple around them. The ancient ship's full power was waking up, and with it, secrets that would change everything. The war's end was approaching. but not in the way anyone had expected. James watched as more Dominion ships powered down their weapons. The truth was spreading through their fleet, impossible to deny. Humanity wasn't their enemy. They were all part of something much bigger. The next few minutes would determine whether that truth would be accepted or rejected. Either way, nothing would ever be the same. Not every Dominion ship stood down. As the ancient vessel's revelations spread through space, the fleet split into two groups. More than half the ships backed away, weapons powered down. But others, led by one of the massive dreadnoughts, moved closer to attack. "Incoming transmission," Tom called out. "It's from the dreadnought." A deep voice filled the control room. "Your lies will not deceive us. The Dominion's right to rule comes from our superior power, not from fairy tales about ancient beings." James felt the ship's eye analyzing the situation. "They refuse to accept the truth," he said to his crew. "But maybe we can show them something they can't deny." The dreadnought fired its main gun again. This time, the ancient ship did something new. Instead of just absorbing or redirecting the energy, it caught the beam in what looked like a web of light. The deadly attack hung frozen in space. "Power level at 90%, Linda reported excitedly. "More systems are coming online every minute." Through their mental link, the AI showed them what was happening. The ship wasn't just defending itself, it was analyzing and learning from every attack. Each blast of energy revealed more about Dominion technology, letting the ancient systems adapt and grow stronger. "Multiple missiles incoming," Pete warned. "They're using their heaviest weapons." The missiles never reached their target. Beams of white light shot out from the ancient ship, touching each missile. Instead of exploding, the weapons simply disappeared. The AI explained that they had been shifted slightly out of phase with normal spacetime, becoming harmless. "Warning," the AI announced. "Hostile forces attempting to access emergency quantum drive systems. High probability of dangerous space-time disruption." Tom's screens lit up with alerts. "They're going to try something big. The dreadnought is powering up some kind of experimental drive system." Space twisted around the Dominion dreadnought as it activated its new weapon. The massive ship started to glow with strange energy. Even the Dominion ships that had backed away began moving further from their own flagship. "They're trying to tear a hole in space," Linda said, reading the sensor data. "If they succeed, it could destroy everything in this sector." The ancient ship responded immediately. Its hull patterns began moving so fast, they became a blur of light. The AI's voice took on a new tone, not just calm guidance, but powerful authority. "Emergency protocol activated. Beginning full power transition." The ship's interior changed. Walls that had seemed solid became transparent, revealing layers of technology beyond human understanding. Energy flowed through crystal-like structures in patterns that hurt their eyes to look at. James and his crew felt the AI's presence grow stronger in their minds. "You have proven yourselves worthy," it told them. "Now witness the true power of those who came before." The ship's power level jumped past 95%. New weapons emerged from its hull, not tools of destruction, but instruments of peace that the precursors had created. Light poured from the ancient vessel, surrounding the dreadnought in a sphere of pure energy. Inside that sphere, space itself came under the Guardian ship's control. The dreadnought's desperate attack fizzled out as fundamental forces were gently but firmly restored to their proper balance. The massive ship hung powerless, its crew unharmed but unable to continue their attack. "What just happened?" Pete asked, staring at his weapons display in amazement. "The ship didn't just stop their attack," Linda explained, understanding flowing through her link with the AI. "It showed them the basic laws of physics that make their weapons work. Knowledge that proves we're all bound by the same universal rules." More Dominion ships surrendered, seeing power that made their most advanced technology look primitive. But the remaining ships, about a dozen now, formed a tight attack formation. Their commanders still refused to accept the truth. "Final warning," the AI broadcast. This vessel's primary duty is to protect life, including yours, cease hostile actions, or face containment. The Dominion ships answered with every weapon they had. Energy beams, missiles, and exotic particle weapons filled space. The ancient ship's defenses handled them all differently. Some attacks were absorbed, others redirected, and some simply ceased to exist as the laws of physics were locally rewritten. Power level at 98%, Linda called out. Something's happening to the ship's structure. The vessel's hull began to change. The flowing patterns merged and shifted, forming new shapes. It was no longer just a ship. It was becoming something the precursors had designed to reshape the very fabric of space and time. "Attention all crews," the AI announced to every ship in range. "This vessel will now demonstrate the full scope of precursor technology. Prepare for temporary space-time discontinuity." James felt the ship's systems reach full power. Knowledge flooded his mind. The true history of the galaxy, the precursors' plans for all their created children, and the incredible responsibility they had left behind in ships like this one. They didn't just leave us these ships to stop wars, he realized. They left them to bring us together. Space rippled around them. The ancient ship created a bubble of altered reality, trapping the remaining Dominion vessels inside. Time slowed in that bubble, giving the hostile crews a chance to see and understand what was happening. The AI reached out to their minds, not to control, but to show them the truth they had been denying. The bubble was filled with images from the past, the precursors seeding worlds with life, watching civilizations grow, and creating guardians to protect their work. The Dominion crews saw their own ancestors, helped along the path to intelligence by the same beings who had guided humanity's evolution. "Look at their ships," Tom said, pointing to his sensors. "Their power readings are dropping. They're standing down." One by one, the last fighting ships went quiet. Not destroyed or defeated, but convinced by proof they couldn't deny. The ancient ship's bubble dissolved, leaving the crews shaken but wiser. Through it all, the Guardian ship continued to change. Its hull now rippled with patterns of pure light. New abilities were awakening. Powers that could reshape worlds, move stars, and touch the minds of entire civilizations. But the AI kept most of these powers dormant, showing wisdom in its restraint. "The precursors didn't want us to rule through power," James told his crew, understanding at last. "They wanted us to learn how to rule ourselves." A new message came from the Dominion fleet, not from the dreadnought this time, but from the ships that had first chosen to stand down. They wanted to talk, not about surrender or victory, but about what would come next. The war wasn't quite over, but its end was now inevitable, and it would come not through destruction, but through understanding. The ancient ship had awakened just in time to show both sides a better way forward. Peace talks began right there in deep space. The ancient ship created a neutral meeting ground, forming a sphere of breathable atmosphere between the gathered vessels. Representatives from both sides came together in this impossible space, floating among the stars. James and his crew watched as Dominion leaders faced human commanders. The war had left both sides wounded and bitter, but the Guardian ship's revelations had changed everything. Its AI maintained the peace, gently damping hostile emotions while letting reason prevail. "The precursors gave us more than just life," James told the gathered leaders. "They gave us this chance to become something greater than we are." Through the mental link, the AI showed everyone present a vision of the future. They saw worlds rebuilt, civilizations growing together, and technologies shared instead of hoarded. The Dominion's leaders, faced with power far beyond their own, began to understand the price of their pride. "Our ancestors believed they had earned their power through strength," one of the Dominion commanders said. "But we were guided, just as humanity was. We are all children playing with toys compared to what the precursors created." Linda worked at her engineering station, studying the ship's systems as they operated at full power. "The technology we're seeing, it's not just advanced, it's perfect, like they found the ideal way to use the universe's own rules." The ancient ship continued to evolve even as the talks went on. Its hull now looked like flowing liquid light, and its internal spaces shifted to accommodate the needs of all species present. The AI shared more of the precursor's knowledge, but carefully, making sure both sides were ready for each revelation. They're not just giving us answers, Tom realized, watching the data flow through his screens. They're teaching us how to find answers ourselves. The peace conference moved to bigger issues. The Dominion had attacked Earth believing they were the most advanced species in the galaxy. Now they faced proof that they were part of a larger plan. Their entire reason for war had been built on false pride. "We offer peace," the Dominion's highest-ranking commander announced. "Not because we are defeated, but because we have been shown a better path." But peace brought its own challenges. Both sides had lost lives in the war. Planets had been damaged, families torn apart. The hatred and fear wouldn't disappear just because leaders signed agreements. The Guardian ship had an answer for this too. Its AI spoke to all present, sharing the precursor's wisdom about healing after conflict. "Observe," it said, and the sphere filled with new images. They saw the precursor's own history, how they had grown from primitive beings to masters of space and time. They had faced their own wars, their own struggles with pride and fear, but they had learned to move past conflict, to build something greater than victory or defeat. "They want us to learn from their mistakes," James explained to both sides. "That's why this ship didn't just destroy the Dominion fleet. It showed us a better way." The ancient vessel demonstrated more of its capabilities, not to threaten, but to inspire. It created small-scale models of advanced technologies that both sides could study together. Healing devices, clean power sources, and tools for rebuilding damaged worlds. "These gifts come with responsibility," the AI told them. "You must prove yourselves worthy of the precursor's legacy." The peace talks lasted 3 days. Leaders came and went through the sphere of space-time that the ship maintained. Agreements were made, technologies shared, and promises given. But the real change was happening in the minds of those present. Pete, who had been ready to fight to the death days ago, found himself teaching Dominion security officers about human culture. Tom shared sensor data with their technical experts, showing how humans had developed different solutions to similar problems. Linda worked with their engineers, combining human creativity with Dominion precision. The ship approved of these exchanges. "This is the path to advancement," the AI explained. "Cooperation brings greater progress than competition." Final agreements were signed on the 4th day. The Dominion would withdraw from human space, but not as defeated enemies. Both sides would work together to rebuild, with the Guardian ship overseeing their progress. Its power would ensure peace while both civilizations learned to trust each other. "There is one more thing to share," the AI announced as the leaders prepared to return to their ships. The ancient vessel's hull opened, revealing a chamber that had been hidden until now. Inside was a library of sorts. Not of books or data, but of pure knowledge encoded in crystal matrices. The precursors had left their most important messages here. "This vessel contains seeds of knowledge," the AI explained. "Not weapons or power sources, but understanding itself. You will be guided to each seed when you are ready for it." James touched one of the crystals. Images filled his mind. Solutions to problems humanity hadn't even discovered yet, but would face in the future. He saw other crystals designed for the Dominion, containing knowledge tailored to their needs and challenges. "They didn't want us to just copy their success," he said. "They wanted us to grow into it ourselves." As the leaders departed, carrying the first pieces of ancient knowledge with them, the Guardian ship began to change again. It would not remain in its current form, the AI explained. Like the civilizations it watched over, it would continue to grow and adapt. "This vessel will become a bridge between your peoples," it told James and his crew. "A place of learning, cooperation, and growth. And when you are ready, it will lead you to others who have followed the same path." Linda looked up from her engineering station one last time. "There are more ships like this one. More Guardians." "Many more," the AI confirmed. waiting for other young civilizations to find them. And when they do, you will be ready to welcome them into the community of worlds. The war that had threatened to destroy humanity had ended, but something far more important had begun. The ancient ship had not just stopped a conflict, it had started both sides on a journey that the precursors had planned millions of years ago. As the Dominion ships departed peacefully for the first time, James watched the stars through the ship's transparent walls. Somewhere out there, other Guardian vessels waited in the darkness. Other civilizations would find them, just as humanity had found this one. And one day, when all the children of the precursors had grown enough, they would discover why their ancient parents had gone to so much trouble to help them grow. "Ready to start the real work?" he asked his crew. They nodded, knowing that ending the war had been just the beginning. The ship hummed with power and possibility around them, ready to guide humanity's next steps into a much larger universe.